We got Big U news. I don't know if you know who Big U is or not, but he has been indicted by rap news and street politics. So let's get into it. Here we go.
Rap News Street Politics, the best hood channel on YouTube, and y'all know that we had to cover this Big U indictment. Man, as we see, the whole world is blew up over this situation between Big U, Bricc Baby, Luce Cannon, and their co-defendants in this investigation that the feds are calling Operation Drawdown. Now, we seen 19 pictures on that whiteboard, and we know, man, that's the nastiest place you could be with them people talking on the microphones and your face in the back. But, you know, we got our hands on the paperwork, a criminal complaint that was given to the judge over the telephone, recounted by Special Agent Andrew James Rusa. So we know the feds came and swept everybody off their feet March 19, 2025. And the specific task force that did that was the Los Angeles Metropolitan Task Force on Violent Gangs, a task force that's gonna be exclusive to the FBI Los Angeles field office. Now, the key thing is when you're dealing with a task force, these dudes specialize in certain things. They have more tools, they have more funding to be able to really come down on people. And the main thing about a task force is apprehension. That's how they increase their funding, and they're usually known to have aggressive tactics that go along with those apprehensions. But in this situation, we have 5 main key players that are somewhat spearheading this federal indictment. Of course, we got Eugene Henley, Big U, who also goes by the name of Unc. We all know Big Draws, but they also have names of Hannibal Muhammad, Anybody Killer, or Dave Austin that Big U could also go by. We have his right-hand man, Sylvester Robinson, aka Vay, and we have his other close homie, Mark Martin, aka Bear Claw. These 3 defendants are the ones that's being charged with the Rico. Now, next in this paperwork, we got Tremaine Ashley Williams, aka Luce Cannon. He's charged with interference with commerce by robbery. Now, you know, every time they talk about interfering with commerce, it's always federal. Then we got Armani Aflahe, aka Monty. Y'all may know her as Trap Kitchen Monty. She's down on this indictment for transportation of an individual in interstate commerce with the intent that the individual engages in prostitution. We're gonna break all this down. Next, we have Frederick Blanton Jr., who went by Blanton, and Tiffany Hines, who are labeled in the indictment as participants of bank fraud. Now, Zaire Mitchell, Bricc Baby, he's also in this situation. He was caught on wiretap. We're gonna talk about what he was saying on there, but he's actually in some separate paperwork on this indictment. But we're gonna speak on this case too. Now, the reason that this indictment came forth is because it's being alleged that the Big U Enterprise is a mafia-like organization that utilizes Big U's stature and long-standing association with the Rollin 60s to intimidate businesses and individuals. So basically, he's using his business endeavors, coinciding those with the gangbanging, in an attempt to gain control throughout the city of Los Angeles. And the crimes that they allege he committed, along with his co-conspirators, to ensure that that control was actually gained, was murder, robbery, extortion, interstate transportation for prostitution, wire fraud, and bank fraud. Now, investigators allege that this whole scheme really formed in about 2008. Again, Big U got out of prison in 2004, and this is when he established all of these businesses that are being labeled criminal organizations in this indictment. But it's really said that federal investigators really put him on their radar in February 2021. And when I mean him, I mean Big U Enterprise and its associates. And those associates, of course, being from Rollin 60s, but the 6-0s were said to have been under a federal investigation since the year prior, August 2020. So everything has been in the works for about 4 or 5 years with this situation. Now, one of the first ways that they say he tried to exert control was with a popular phrase that he also used in a podcast of his, checking in. So it said that professional athletes, musicians, and anybody else looking to conduct legitimate or illicit criminal activity in LA was required to check in properly with Big U if they wanted to make sure they was protected. And it was said that he used his reputation to instill fear with acts of violence and intimidation to make sure people comply with this check-in rule. In a documentary film, he went on to say, and I quote, "You can choose not to check in, but it's gonna be a problem. If you choose not to check in, you suffer the consequences." And in separate statements, he went on to say that example of one of those consequences is what transpired with Quando Rondo and his people. He said they didn't check in properly, and we all know them dudes from Chicago laid his cousin to rest over there by the Beverly Center. Now, he alluded to the fact that he could have changed that situation if Quando Rondo had to do what he was supposed to do, especially claiming to be a member from 6-0.
Nah, I don't like how that sounds, Big U. That sound like what it sound like. He didn't check in, so you made him check out, is what it sounded like. But he wasn't said to be implicated in this. So.
Now, like I said, there's hours of wiretaps of communications between all the defendants in this case. And since the inception of this investigation, more than 50 people have been physically interviewed by the folks and agreed to voluntarily provide information in regards to different situations surrounding Big U. So this takes us forward a little bit to 2022, where the FBI interviewed a cooperating witness labeled a CW1. He's the one who provided all the information about this whole check-in process and made them privy to how Big U is shaking people down when they come to town. This confidential witness also broke down how Big U Enterprises was the money-making gang inside of the Rollin 60s. Now, just to give some brief details on who this confidential witness is, this individual has convictions for possession for sales of narcotics in 2003 and in 2009, as well as shooting into an inhabited dwelling in 2003. This person received cooperation credit from the Central District of California at sentencing in a prior drug conspiracy case, and Joe Biden commuted his sentence for that offense. So if this sound like your people, they some bad people. He stated that these rap artists, athletes, not only had to check in verbally, but they also had to pay a fee, which takes us to Adrian Broner. So CW1 recounted an event that happened with Adrian Broner in June 2019, where it said that AB and a couple NBA players had a little dice game jumping off, in which AB had pulled out some trick dice and whooped all them NBA players' feet in the dice, totaling a debt of $1.5 million. After this dice game, it said that Big U sent his homies to rough AB up. It said that AB didn't check in properly. And
ain't no way, bro. I need to know the NBA players involved in this dice game. I hope that information comes out. Y'all let one person hit you for $1 million in a dice game?
now he trying to whoop people for millions in the city. Big U wasn't going for that. So it said his involvement was really at the root of the whole situation due to him being involved in the parties, the gambling parties, dice games, little celebrity parties. He was in the mix everywhere. And it was said that he forced AB to forgive the debt that was owed to him from these NBA players. But it didn't stop there. He was paid $100,000 by these NBA players for negotiating the debt with Adrian Broner. And it was said that these NBA players or celebrities, whoever, will kind of have to get an approval from Big U to operate safely at these events and functions moving forward. Now, there was also another event in which Luce Cannon spoke on, and we're going to get to his old telling ass, but he stated that Big U had sent him on a mission to demand 50 racks from a celebrity rapper with the initials RR. Now, that could be Roddy Ricch, could be Rick Ross, I can't say. And he said if that rapper didn't pay, then they would look to kill a rapper with the initials by the name of MM. Now, that could be Meek Mill, so we could be talking about Rick Ross and Meek Mill here. This is just what the documents are alleging. But it was said that RR dropped off the 50 racks and Big U stopped answering Luce Cannon's phone calls and didn't split no money with him.
Okay. Why are we operating like this? This is what be making me mad about. Why are you moving why are you doing this to your own people? That's my problem, Big U. Why can't you figure out another hustle that doesn't involve taking people's money just because they came to California. You don't make nobody else check in. I don't understand this, bro. I mean, I understand it, but I don't understand why Big U didn't have another way of getting money instead of a 50-year-old, 60-year-old man still extorting people, acting like a Crip. Like, he had his hand in way too much stuff to still be moving like this. That's the issue that I have.
But it's for sure that Big U was out here squeezing people all the way just to operate in the city of LA. Now, the heaviest allegations in this case are from around the time that this investigation really started with Big U. And we all know the main things that bring these people out. If it's not a crazy amount of money, it's a murder, which takes us to January 25th, 2021.
Okay.
And at this time, Big U has somebody on his label by the name of Rashawn Williams.
Okay. I'm just now hearing about this in 2025, so I don't know how this slipped under my radar, but I'm glad this story coming out right now.
Now, this is the individual that 600 was talking about when he was alleging that Big U had something to do with this homicide. But we gotta say, all these claims are allegations. These are the initial charging documents and the probable cause affidavit. Everybody's presumed innocent until proven guilty. We gotta say that. This is the beginning of a long journey. But the fact still remains, Rashawn Williams. And with this situation, there are some similarities to Nipsey Hussle. I gotta keep it 100. So it said that Big U and his business partner sent Rashawn Williams to Vegas to record some music in somebody's studio who later on became a witness in this case. Actually, 3 witnesses in this case were related to this recording studio. The security guard, the owner, and someone who acted as maybe a technician up at the studio. But nonetheless, Rashawn Williams is scheduled for the stu time, and he's supposed to record a song a day. It said that he's playing with the studio time and ends up recording a diss song aimed at Big U. Now, as we know, this is the same situation somewhat that happened with Nipsey Hussle, the diss record. What did Big U do with Nipsey Hussle? He pulled up looking to administer that DP.
Well, I ain't no rapper, I'm a scrapper. So, we end up having to come talk about that. Pull up the homies, and Nip admitted it's wrong, but still there's some consequences to your wrong. I came to pick him up that morning so he can get his discipline.
He pulls up on Rashawn Williams all the way in Las Vegas with his co-conspirator, Sylvester Robinson. Now, when they got there, this is the first time that the witness or the security guard at this establishment had seen Big U. And we all know Big U is a distinct character, so there's no way he's gonna forget seeing Big U at the studio. Now, again, what led up to this visit at the studio was the diss record that was recorded 5 days prior on January 20th, 2021. Okay. In that record, Rashawn Williams rapped about somebody who had the money, which the feds allege a reference to Big U. And Rashawn Williams also rapping about being shot in the face for thinking shit funny with a .38 revolver because it leaves no trace. Now, It's not known if Big U heard this diss record before or during his interaction at the studio with Rashawn Williams, but something made him pull up. So Rashawn Williams had an Airbnb in Vegas, and it said that Henley and Robinson pulled up in a dark gray Lexus to the studio. And it said that the night before the homicide, Big U's phone was shown to have arrived at the Airbnb in Vegas that Rashawn was staying at in the middle of the night. So it said that at 7:04, he was at the studio. And Rashawn pulled up to the studio between 8 or 9 and recorded a record until about 11 or midnight. And at about 12:30 in the morning, the dark gray Lexus was no longer at the studio, but Robinson was. 12:58, Big U's phone disconnects from the cell towers. But at approximately 1:13 in the morning, the dark gray Lexus pulls up to the Airbnb. At this time, it said, Rashawn is seen getting out the car, going into the Airbnb, and coming back out with his suitcase. Mind you, Rashawn wasn't supposed to leave Vegas until the next day, but he's bringing his suitcase out at 1 in the morning and putting it in the dark gray Lexus. So at 1:20, the Lexus pulls off from the Airbnb. And about an hour later, 55 minutes later, 2:15 a.m., both of Big U's phones connect back to the cell tower in our reported location. So it said that the drive from the Airbnb to the location where Rayshawn's body was found would take roughly about 42 minutes. And they say it took Big U approximately 48 minutes or 55 minutes from the time of leaving the Airbnb to turn his phone back on. Now, it's said that Rayshawn's body was found in a landfill in the middle of the desert off the 15 freeway.
Big U, big anybody, big worm, big perm, big how many police shows have we watched? How much First 48 is there? How many hours of footage have we gone through in life to know, brother, you cut your phone off an hour before and then turned it back on an hour after, like that made a difference? Be smarter, okay? Maybe not. Maybe don't be smart. Go to jail. Get the feds on you.
Which we all know is the freeway that connects LA to Vegas. He was shot multiple times, including in the face, and his body was dragged into a ditch. And seemingly he was shot with the same pistol that he referenced in that diss song to Big U, a 38, because there was no shell casings recovered. But at this time, between 2:30 and 3 a.m., the gray Lexus pulls back up to the studio, and witness one, a security guard, reports seeing Big U drenched in either sweat or water, in which he replied that he had just got out the gym. 7 hours later, Rashawn's body is found in the desert.
Why would you go back to the studio? Okay, I got it. I need to stop asking these questions because he's moving around like he's not going to get caught like everybody else, right? We're moving around like bosses. No, nothing's going to happen. We're just going to do what we're doing and not get caught. Got it.
Big U was out of there an hour after that, 10 a.m., back to LA. Now, because of inclement weather on the night of the murder, the DNA couldn't be restored. So a lot of DNA matches were coming up inconclusive for what was left at the scene. But witness one will go on to make statements to the feds and to the North Las Vegas PD about this incident. And it said that Big U ordered somebody to go get the surveillance cameras out of the studio, destroy everything, to the point where they had to send money to the studio owner to get a whole new surveillance system. And a month after this is when the feds start really forming their investigation on Big U. Now, again, for everybody that watched that A-Tray video, man, if you ain't seen it, go check that out, because it's terms that are going to be continually used when speaking on federal indictments, like the Title III, which is the formal term for a wiretap, in which both Luce Cannon and Bricc Baby were recorded on. So not too long after this homicide took place in Vegas, Big U is back doing the regular situation in LA, shaking businesses down. And Luce Cannon is said to be one of the quote-unquote enforcers of his shakedown crew. And there was one particular spot that Luce Cannon implied that he had dealings with in a weed dispensary in LA. Now, the owner of the dispensary was charged tax every month by Big U and Big U Enterprises to the tune of some months $25,000 a month if business was booming. But that, of course, that number was fluctuating. But at some point, the owner of this weed dispensary, who is a cooperating witness, of course, decided to stop paying because he didn't see the benefit of being taxed and shook down. So Big U sends Luce Cannon and some other dudes to rob him and put that pressure on him to make sure he's paying. And at this point, once Luce and all these dudes brought the work back to Big U, he also called the owner of the weed dispensary to come to the house as well, in which he gave him his items back, but put his tax on it to make sure he was getting his money.
Okay.
Now, the feds allege that Luce Cannon did nothing but corroborate the witness stories by telling all of this information on No Jumper, where they said Williams admitted to the robbery and the aftermath on the podcast. He also stated that he was Big U's right-hand man and started to implicate himself and Big U in certain crimes on these podcasts, which made Big U send that cease and desist to No Jumper and Vlad TV.
Why are y'all moving around like it is 1992? What is wrong with y'all? Y'all asked for this. There's no way. It is 2025, dude. It is not the 90s. This is not a Boys in the Hood movie. Big U was really living a life. He was really living in a movie life.
The fans was watching. They seen Luce Cannon refer to Big U as Big Useless or Big Uterus. And they also have the January 3rd incident that happened this year when Luce Cannon struck somebody in the head and knocked him out with the pistol and proceeded to remove valuables from him, the jewelry, cash, cell phone, and added up everything to being over $5,000. They watched statements that Luce Cannon made saying he was Big Useless's enforcer, that he loves to fight, and that incident could have went a lot worse, implicated itself in this assault, and implicated itself into working for a criminal enterprise, Big U Enterprises. He also posted some of the fight and also spoke about how he was with Big U when P&B Rock was killed and that they would have told him to comply with them dudes that killed him from A7 so they can bargain and get his jewelry back and tax him on the back end. He implicated himself in all of this, and we see him looking stupid, looking at his wife now, with the feds all around him. All that playing, doing too much playing on the internet. This shit not a game no more. You know, these dudes was known for fabricating situations, making up stories, and falling back in and falling out with people, doing a bunch of shit. Now people looking crazy. He also made statements online that he kidnapped a victim and put him in the trunk of his car and drove him to Big U's house. Okay. Why are we talking about this?
Why?
It said y'all was trying to kidnap him. No, that's capital. So explain that story. Wait, so how did you even come in contact with him? And I think supposedly
why would you bring this
there was
up?
a Big U portion of it.
Anyway, yeah. So basically, security is LA niggas.
Yo, I noticed
we from Rollin 60s. So, nigga, if you gonna protect somebody or whatever, you gonna pick that issue. You just getting paid $500 a day just to make sure he good, but nigga, you gonna lose your life.
This is what ended up Luce Cannon on the indictment. Now, it seemed that he didn't even need a wiretap. He'd do it for the camera.
Right.
Bricc Baby, on the other hand, they initiated that Title III, man, and he was on there talking about a robbery. November 11, 2022, it said that Big U coordinated with Zaire Mitchell, a.k.a. Bricc Baby, on how much Zaire would give Big U out of his proceeds from a robbery that he committed. So he was shaking Bricc Baby down. All that popping it. But this is why he was still allowed to participate in hood activities and claim the hood, bang the hood, do all this. He getting shaken down by the OG. So all them dudes, Don Bonelli, everybody that was calling him out, come to the hood, that shit didn't matter because he was paying his dues. As you should. I mean, that's what
Hey, man, the streets is done. This gangster shit is done. It's over with. Just find another way, bro.
everybody does. That's what the G homies is looking for, especially from these young niggas. Anybody that's gonna get on here and debate that, you ain't never seen it, man. That's crazy. This is what happens, especially to the younger generation, man. We seen what happened to Sucker Free over in Lennox. We seen what happened to Money Sign Suede. Y'all go make sure y'all check our Nipsey video out. Kevin McIntosh put a copyright strike on us. Kev Mac made us take it down. He did that, told on us on YouTube, trying to protect the situation. We broke this situation down in 2021. Look what happened to Nipsey. Go see what was said in there. But it was said that Bricc Baby robbed somebody and Big U was counting out the money and said it was only 2-3 racks. Bricc said it was supposed to be between 5 and 7. But this little situation right here got him wrapped up in a federal indictment on the wiretap and paying the OG homie, furthering the criminal enterprise is what they saying. So just like we spoke on in that Anjefe A-Tray Gangsta federal case, where they had controlled buys with confidential sources and witnesses, same goes here. Instead of buys, they had controlled extortion payments. So the people that Big U was shaking down, the FBI was giving them money to make sure it gets into Big U's hands as a documented payment for his extortion methods. November 19, 2021. Again, not even a year after that murder. The FBI provided $500 in cash for the meeting, and victim one paid that money to Henley. January 20th, 2022, the FBI provided $1,000 in cash that victim one paid to Robinson for Henley. February 17th, 2022, the FBI provided another $1,000 in cash that victim one paid to Robinson on camera for Henley.
We got him.
In one of the meetings, victim one paid Henley out of his own money, but it was documented and given to the feds on camera. And in this instance, Henley said they bumped it down to $1,500. They was taxing him a little bit more at that time in July of 2022.
We got him.
but there was numerous
We got
controlled extortion payments. And there was also an incident where he extorted some club promoters in Deja Vu, where at his birthday he said that he wanted to have some entertainers. T.I. and Wiz Khalifa was supposed to pull up. He said he wanted 33% of what the bar made for the night. So after that, he calls one of the promoters and basically is like, look, y'all put my face on this flyer. It's all over the city. My wife is tripping. I need 30 racks. Club promoter like, man, maybe 20, because 30 is the pot. So I'll give you 20, I'll take 10. Big U said no, 30. Wiz Khalifa, T.I. didn't end up pulling up. Some witnesses seen him shake the club promoter in the back for that 30 racks. And on top of that, he still asked for the 33% of the bar. And
Big U, it is not 1992, bro. You know what? I'm glad they got you up out of here. You took 30 racks and, bruh, why, man?
of course, these demands were followed by threats. He said he'll tear the whole shit up if the demands aren't met. He said he'll have 5,000 6-0s in the club to tear it down. Bring me my money. So he was doing a lot of strong arming in the city. Now, somebody else that everybody is surprised to see in this indictment, including myself. We follow each other on Instagram. This has been a big name in the city for years now. Trap Kitchen Monty. She was also on that Title III wiretap. The feds intercepted phone calls and text messages between her and Big U. Now, they also alleged that Big U was smacking it. I can't say that's what's in the documents.
Of course he was.
But they were saying that she was providing women to cross state lines to do some hoeing and take care of some of Big U people in that fashion. Now, in June 2023, that federal task force interviewed her at her house. You know, she admitted to promoting prostitution, noting that she was known for bringing the hoes. She provided females to Big U as long as they was paid. And the next day after this, she was supposed to go up to the FBI field office and let them sync her phone up to their computer to extract all the data. Now, of course, she wasn't supposed to have communication with anybody after this interaction, but they intercepted her talking to Big U and meeting with Big U. And at this time, Big U was already knowing that the feds was tapping phones. But at this time, she meets with Big U, breaks down everything that happened. And, you know, it looks like Eugene grounded her a little bit, made her pull her shit together. And she didn't cooperate anymore after that point. She didn't make another statement and didn't go to the FBI field office to empty the contents of her phone, because that would have blew everything up. But, you know, they got warrants for all of that right now. The biometrics, everything. They're trying to go through everything right now. But the reason Big U knew his phone was tapped was because a couple months prior to this interaction between Trap Kitchen Monty and the feds, Las Vegas police pulled up to Big U crib, tried to do the okey doke, saying they was new detectives working on Rayshawn Williams' case, and they just wanted to touch everybody that could know something 2 years later for the anniversary of his homicide. He wasn't at home at the time, so the feds intercepted that call and noticed that Big U was getting wary about the phones. He didn't return home for 2 weeks after that point and started to move a little differently. But like I said, there was already hours of phone calls and what the feds are call a pertinent conversation that had meaning in relation to the indictment or the case. But you know, this whole situation right here gave them the opportunity to go ahead and look into his financial affairs, which is where they hit him with the EIDL. A lot of people's thinking of PPP. When the IRS involved, it was that EIDL, the one before the PPP that wasn't forgivable. Everybody know what I'm talking about. Don't do that. They said he got 90 racks from the EIDL under Unique Music, saying he operated with a $200,000 profit for the year when he was actually at a $5,000 loss. Ridiculous. And got him for a fraudulent application on that. So this is where the bank and the wire fraud come in. The embezzlement. It said that he embezzled around $150,000 on 7 separate occasions, where we see in August of 2019, he got $20,000 donated to his business by an NBA All-Star. January 2020, $14,000 that he embezzled from a payment from an award-winning music publishing company. Now, the embezzlement happened because these people were donated to a business. So in this case, for example, the publishing company donated $24,000. Once they followed the money, it was seen that $14,000 out of that $24,000 was transferred to his personal bank account and being used for personal expenses instead of the business expenses that were negotiated at the time of the donation. Simple stuff. Very
Stupid
simple.
stuff.
They trying to add everything up. This is what the feds do. And it said September 21st, 2022. He embezzled $19,000 out of a $20,000 donation from an NBA MVP, former NBA MVP. And he also had a situation with ex-NFL player Willie McGinnis. Well, I believe it's Willie McGinnis, based on a situation that Willie McGinnis had in the club at the same exact time. And the indictment is referencing somebody named WM, who was a former professional football player, where it said that this individual busted somebody in their head with a bottle at the club. Big U had to step in and had to squeeze them folks from pressing charges, getting the heat off Willie McGinnis. Is this how his son is in the NFL? I can't say. I'm not gonna go there. Of course, you got to be talented, but we see a lot of the company Big U was keeping. It's some high-ranking people, especially in LA. Now, they also allege that he misappropriated funds from the GRID program and from the city of LA. Now, the GRID program is also that situation where 600 and all these dudes is talking about how he's working with the police. It's a gang intervention program where they do have dealings with the folks as well. But clearly, if he was operating with the folks, it didn't help him none in this situation, man. When we see it looks like 600 really is the folks. But since 2015, his company Developing Options received $550,000 from the GRID program. And between July 1st, 2018 to July 30th, 2023, he received $2.3 million from the city of Los Angeles. This is what people was talking about when they said that peace was inflated. That peace movement that was happening in LA, 8 Trays, the Hoovers, whoever, 6-0s was sitting down, is some large money involved in peace in these intervention programs. This is what was being alleged. This type of paper. You can't fault nobody for trying to get a legal bag. But when the funds are misappropriated, this is how you see a situation like this. And on the wiretaps, we also see multiple threats, many to WAC 100, where he's communicating with people stating that he needed to break WAC 100's jaw and that he needed to beat the shit out of WAC 100. There was also a situation where he described threatening to kill some dudes from Grape Street, saying he had paperwork on some of his homies in the 60s, and speaking on how he's the biggest Rollin 60 member to ever exist, including Nipsey Hussle. So, this is very early in this situation between Big U and his co-conspirators. But we're going to keep providing y'all with this dope content, man. Y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe.
Bruh. Now, that was a wonderful breakdown from Rap News Street Politics. I think I already subscribed to him. This is my first video seeing of his. Big U. Good luck, brother. Get out of here, man. The feds got you. I'm glad they do. You deserve it. Why moving like the 1990s? Like this is a Boys in the Hood 2 movie. And it's alleged that Big U had something to do with Nipsey Hussle passing. So when that first happened, I kind of thought, he had something to do with it, just how it all ended up playing out. But if this is how this guy been moving all these years, yeah, bruh, I'm surprised the feds haven't gotten to use Big U. If this is how he's doing people, you got to go, man. It's 2025. You don't even need to do that anymore. People don't even operate like it's the 90s anymore, because it's not, bruh. Just greedy. See what greed gets you? Fall off. Your own fall off. Ridiculous. Look at these guys. I've been J-Stat. That ain't this. I'll be sure to bring you more videos like this. Peace.